Our first speaker of the day is a really amazing guy. This dude is so humble, and if you understood the capacity of what he's done, you'd think to yourself, how is this guy so humble? Well, he comes from Kansas, so he's got that kind of wholesome, all-American, center of America sort of vibe about him. You're going to love Jeff Gardner. Jeff actually he built a multi-million-dollar mail order business from scratch using self-published information products. He went on to establish himself as one of the folks that was the premier kind of leader in direct mail and mail order. What's interesting about Jeff is he's also a high performance and a lifestyle income coach, all right? So he works with folks just like us to help us build our home businesses. Now, you have to understand something. He's actually done this. He's not only made millions and millions of dollars for himself, but he's also been through those trials and tribulations. He also understands the challenges of what it takes to build a strong business, all right? So he's here to kind of guide you through that. Now, this guy is world-renowned. He's spoken at the World MLM Summit. He's authored over 100 books, courses, and CDs. What's really cool about this is one of the books he co-authored with Robert Kiyosaki, Susie Orman, and Donald Trump, called Walking with the Wise Entrepreneur. That's an awesome, you guys got to check that out, all right? He's written a lot of different books. I could sit here and talk about him all day. And I'll be honest with you, this is one of the speakers I've been looking most forward to based on his background and based on what he's come here to talk about. I've had the privilege of kind of checking him out online. I want you to check him up on stage. You guys ready? Yeah. You guys ready? Yeah. I want you to bring the noise for Mr. Jeff Gardner. Come on, man. You're welcome, man. Go get him.
Thank you. Wow, thank you very much. Wow, what an awesome introduction. I always feel like I got something to live up to now. Okay, so what am I going to be talking about today? Let's see here. How to become an unstoppable entrepreneur in 4 simple steps. I'm going to do something a little bit weird. I'm going to give you the bonus first. So there's actually 5 steps. I'm going to give you the bonus step first. Are you ready for it? You've got to be unstoppable. That's it. You've got to be unstoppable. The only way that you can fail as an entrepreneur is to stop being an entrepreneur. I loved what Russ Whitney said, because he was so confused when somebody said, "What was your biggest failure?" He was like, it didn't compute. I'll get back to you, right? Comes up again, what was your biggest failure? I don't have one. Exactly. Because everything he did, good, bad, otherwise, good results, bad results, he learned from all of it, and he has never stopped. If you want to get rid of your fear of failure, tell yourself and understand that failure is stopping. I can tell you when I'm going to be stopping, when I'm pushing up the daisies. I saw Zig Ziglar on stage. He had a stroke. He was at a success event. He was with his daughter on stage. In his last few years, you know what he wasn't doing? Stopping. He kept going and going and going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny, right? That's what you got to do. The only way you can fail is to stop. So that's why I focus my talk on how to become unstoppable. So how many would you like to know how to become unstoppable? Awesome, perfect. Well, I will tell you, just so you kind of know my backstory and where I came from, a little bit about my story. Wow, this clicker works really well. That's my thing over there. Anyway, I'm sorry. Technology is exciting to me. I'm old school. So a little bit about my story. I grew up in Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. I grew up in Dodge City, Kansas. You know that phrase, get the hell out of Dodge? It's built around where I grew up. There's a reason for it. We're in nowhere. And so I wanted to get out of there in the worst way possible. And so I was doing everything to make money as a kid. I was going door to door selling magazines and seeds and all that type of stuff. I was trying to make money. We're talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I remember going to my grandma's really out, and nothing to do. She was sitting back, enjoying her Wheel of Fortune. and nothing to do. I was reading her National Enquirer magazine, and in the back of that magazine there was all these classified ads, these business opportunity ads, and they said you could get rich from home. I was like, yeah, I want to get rich from home. And one of them said that you could make, this was a miracle to me at the time, you could make $2 for every envelope that you could stuff. Now, as a kid, I knew how to stuff envelopes. Didn't know much, I knew how to stuff envelopes. So I sent away my $2 to that address, sent away my $2. I got a letter back in the mail. I was waiting by the mailbox. I was so excited. Pull it out, I get it. It says, here's how you make $2 for stuffing envelopes. You place the same ad that I did, ask people for $2, they're going to send you $2, you stuff the envelope with this piece of paper that I just sent you, boom, you got $2 for stuffing envelopes. I said, wow, that's a scam. But the good thing about it was that company took my name and they sold it to a mailing list broker. So my name got put onto these lists that all these other mail order marketers and get rich and home business marketers were buying to send their stuff to. So I got my mailbox filled to overflowing with all these make money from home, make money in mail order, get rich type of offers. Man, boy, they found the right person in me. I started to any money I could get my hands on. I was actually doing my chores to make money now, to be able to put it towards all these make money things. And I put all sorts of money out there, and I had a little mail order business. At the age of 15, I had a little mail order business that I was running out of the basement of my parents' home. And my parents said, what in the heck are you doing? First of all, I was getting more mail than they were. They were getting the bills. The mailbox was stuffed with offers, and every once in a while I'd actually get an order in from something that I was doing. And my mom actually came to me and she sat me down, and you know, most parents sit down, their kids are in trouble or something, and she said, we're really worried about you. We don't know what's going on in the basement. We're worried that the police are going to come and cart you off. And I said, no, this is a legitimate thing. Here, look at all these get-rich ads. She was not convinced. So, my parents said, look, stop dreaming. Get a real job. Go to college. Stop thinking you're going to make it rich. Stop thinking you're going to do all this great stuff. My girlfriend at the time, she said, what in the heck are you doing? I don't know if I want to be your girlfriend because I want somebody who's actually got some prospects, not some dreamer who's sending away money for these get-rich-quick things. But I could not be stopped. I continued to send my money out. I gave it out. Here you go. Here's some money. You want some money, and you want some money. I gave it all away. So I worked, though. I worked, and I focused, and I studied, and I read, and I invested. And by the time I graduated from high school, I was able to leave home at the age of 18 and move into this beautiful mansion. This beautiful mansion. My beautiful it was small mansion, but it did have wheels, so it was a portable mansion. It had sinkholes in the floor. It had a family of mice living under the sink. What else did it have? It had a carbon monoxide leak constantly. That was fun. It was in the bedroom, so that wasn't a danger. It was exciting. It was very exciting. My girlfriend at the time was like, yeah, you really have no prospects. I'm really not sure I'm going to be sticking around. Everybody was doubting me, but I was still unstoppable. I was focused. I was going to make this work. And I remember I was trying to tell somebody about the home business industry. I was trying to tell them how all these other people were making it. And if they could make it, I could make it too. And talking about being self-employed and working for yourself and selling information products and doing it by mail. And this guy told me, I remember I was talking to him and he said, well, that sounds like one of them here scams. I'm from Kansas. That's how we talk in Kansas. So I said, a scam? Really? He said, yep, sounds like a scam. I said, you know what sounds like a scam to me? Working 40 hours a week, 40 years of your life, making somebody else rich, and then retiring for 40% of your pay. That sounds like a poverty scam. I said, I don't know who sold you that scam, but the people that I'm following are living a much different lifestyle. And I may not have it now, but I will. Watch me. And so I just focused. I kept focusing. One of the things that I did was I focused on studying people like Matt. I focused on studying TJ Roletter. Some of you have met TJ. He's been instrumental in my life. And I just worked. I put in the effort. But on top of that, I was focused. I was driven. I was hungry. I wanted it in the worst way possible. And because of that, and I truly believe because of that, things started to click. I made a little bit of money, and that gave me some confidence. I made a little bit more money. That gave me some confidence. Finally, I was able to make enough money that I was able to quit my full-time job as a children's librarian, which is what I was, just to get by, to be able to eat Pop-Tarts in the morning for breakfast and ramen noodles for dinner. That was fun. But I was finally able to quit that job and work full-time for myself. And you know what happens when you actually finally have success? When interesting things happen, people get memory loss. And what I mean by that is my parents, who said I was never going to make it and I needed to stop dreaming, were all of a sudden proud that they had supported me all this time. My girlfriend, who then became my wife, who's now my ex-wife, she was also so thankful for the houses and the cars and all this type of stuff. And I'm so happy I stuck around with you all this time and supported you. I was like, yes, I'm so happy that I had to fight you all the way, kicking and screaming, but I'm glad we're here now. And so but it wasn't so much about what I was doing. Mail order, internet marketing. I've met a lot of people who are very successful in tons of different fields. It wasn't about what I was doing, it was about how I was doing it, the foundational part of it. So just briefly, here's this dorky picture. I was trying to get some headshots, and so I'm a big dork. I can't help it. So he was trying to take some headshots, and I was doing my Superman pose. So unfortunately, that's the only good headshot we actually got. So, but because of the drive and really focusing in the skills, I was able to speak to thousands of people. And I love speaking to entrepreneurs because most of the world, not entrepreneurs. And when you speak to them and you try to explain what you do, I'm an entrepreneur. Well, what's that? Well, I mean, now we're in for a long conversation. And this elevator ride's only a couple floors, right? So I don't try to explain anymore. I'm just like, I'm an IRS agent. And then they don't want to know anymore, right? So I've been able to speak to lots of people. I love speaking to entrepreneurs because I get you. You are my peeps, as we say in Kansas. I've been able to write lots of books and have a business, and it's an exciting lifestyle. And so I'm excited to be here because I love teaching the stuff that I've learned over time. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to become an unstoppable entrepreneur in 4 simple steps. Now, there's a caveat here. I'm a copywriter. Love writing sales copy. You'll notice the word simple doesn't mean easy. They are simple and not easy. I didn't want to scare you off, so I wanted to make it look good, but you got to understand, they're going to take some effort. So there's 4 simple foundational steps to becoming unstoppable. And again, the secret to real success is being unstoppable. It's never stopping, never quitting until you reach success. Never stopping. Death, I'll allow that. That can stop you temporarily, but other than that, you keep charging forward. So let's start with the first step. It's 100% ownership. 100% ownership. Not 99.9999, not 100%. Jack Canfield says, if you want to be successful, you have to take 100% responsibility for everything that you experience in your life. This includes the level of your achievements, the results you produce, the quality of your relationships, the state of your health and your physical fitness, your income, your debts, your feelings, everything. Now you might say, yes, I'm dealing with everything in my life. Dealing with is not the same as taking responsibility for it. You know, when I finally got this, I looked at what the results I had in my life were. And you know what? They sucked. But when I owned them, I realized I have the power to change them. You can't change what you don't own. So if you're not happy, if you're saying, look, my results are at level 4 and I want to get them to a level 1,000, it's your goal. It's your responsibility. You own it. This is where I was when I very first started out, and I was buying all the money-making programs and the get-rich deals and the home businesses. I was a victim. Because what would happen is I would see so-and-so making a bunch of money, right? And I'd run over here, and I'd send my money to this so-and-so guy, right? And he would send back the materials, and all of a sudden, I would start being the victim. Oh, this is saturated. Oh, the sales letter doesn't really look that good. Oh, they don't have a postcard I can mail out. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, and then, fortunately, somebody would come along and save me. This rich person over here had another course. Yes. So I would run over here and I would throw him some money, and then he would give me his program, and all of a sudden I would see there were problems with it. It wasn't and all of a sudden I realized I was affected by this thing called shiny object syndrome, where I was running from money-making program to money-making program to money-making program, and all of a sudden I would get it, and then there was something magically wrong with it, and then there was this thing over here that looked magical. Magic button, magic pill, I'm not going to have to do anything. Yes! But what I realized, and this is interesting, if there's a money-making opportunity and there's only one person in that opportunity that is making money, it's probably a fluke. It's luck. If there's only two people in a money-making opportunity making money, that's probably a coincidence, right? But if there's 3 or more people making money in an opportunity and I'm not making money, it's because of me, not because of them. And so I woke up very quickly and realized this shiny object syndrome, this running from opportunity to opportunity, was only keeping me from being successful. It was me running away from my responsibility to build a business. And so instead of running to the next thing and the next thing, this is easy, that's easy, that's easy, that's easy, I stayed put in one thing, and I said, I've got to grow myself. If there's 3 or 4 people in this opportunity making money, I have the opportunity to make money too, but I got to grow me to be able to do it. I got to do what they're doing, figure out what they're doing. And if I grow me in this opportunity, and I can make money here where these people have already proven to make money, then guess what? Now I can go anywhere and make money anywhere in any opportunity, and that's empowerment instead of the money chase. And believe me, the money chase is exhausting because the money chase never ends because there's an unlimited number of people selling the dream. At some point, you just got to throw out your anchor and you got to focus, right? Stop that money chase. So I went from being a victim to having this aha moment and saying, I need to be an owner of my experience. I got to be owner of my life, an owner of my results. And if I'm not getting the results that I want, it's all on me. I can't blame anybody else. Even if there's no support, even if it is oversaturated, even if there are things wrong, it's up to me to figure out a way over it. Nobody else's. I will not be a victim again. So, let's break it down. I'm not going to break dance. I'm just going to break down the idea. This is a victim's belief system. E equals O. E equals O. I love this stuff. We're getting deep into stuff I love here. I can roll around up here. I'm just so happy. Event equals outcome. This is how a victim looks at life. The outcome is your life. It's the quality of your life. There's the quality of your results, your money, your relationships, all that type of stuff. In a victim's belief system, the events dictate that. Life is up or life is down based on what happens to them. Life is happening to me, right? You know, got a job, life is great. Lost a job, life is horrible. Got a relationship, life is great. Lost a relationship, life is horrible. Unless you wanted to lose it, then it's great. Right? I've been there. So that is a victim's, and it's up and down. It's a roller coaster ride. It's crazy. And that's somebody who is out of control. And if you're out of control, I mean, how much energy do you want to put into your life? Not very much. You're just looking for that next wave to hit you, right? The waves come in, the waves go out. You're just kind of riding those waves of the crazy life. When you take responsibility, though, this is the owner's belief system. You still got events. You still get a job, lose a job, get a relationship, lose a relationship. You have health issues, kid issues, time issues, money issues, things happening to you that you have little or no control over. But that doesn't dictate the outcome. That doesn't dictate your life. That doesn't dictate the results that you get. What dictates and what is always in control of the results you get is your response to what happens in your life. Always. Now, the victim can believe that they don't have the ability to respond, but by not responding, that's a response, that's a choice, that's a decision. So ultimately, we all do own our results in life. It's just a matter of if you realize it or not. So an owner, they will look at events that happen in their life and they will choose a response, and they'll choose a positive response to the things that happens to them in their life. Now, I'm not saying you can change everything, but here's kind of the gist of it. If you don't like something, change it. Take action and change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. And we'll talk about thoughts here in a second, because the fuel of your life, the fuel of your actions, your feelings, your results, are your thoughts, are your beliefs. And we'll get knee-deep in thoughts here in a little bit. But if you don't like something, change it. Take positive action and change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. So I like to ask questions, a lot of questions. So when something happens to me, positive, negative, however it is, I ask, how can I respond to this event in a way that empowers me and improves my life? I'm just not going to take everybody's view of this equals bad. Oh, this happened to you. It's so sad this happened to you. No, it's not. You can choose to believe that's sad, but I'm going to look at it and say, how can I respond to this event in a way that empowers me in a positive way and actually improves my life? So now, instead of life happening to me, life happens for me. Life supports me. It gives me things that I have now the opportunity to respond to in a positive way. And if you live your entire life that way, guess what? Your results start going through the roof. Now, it's a great idea, right? It's a great idea. But you need to live this concept to own it. You need to live it on a regular basis. Now, one of the things that I do, and I'm a personal development junkie, I actually tie things to my fingers. So right now I'm learning 5 different new concepts, and so I tie them to my fingers, so I kind of carry them around. I don't like to put them on my phone or write them on a piece of paper. I want them right here all the time. So when I'm in my spare time, I can think, oh, E plus R equals O. What does that mean? What's the question? That type of stuff. But I also do things like putting it up on my wall, so that every time I go into the office, I see this concept. So every single day, this is dripped into my head. Because this has to be programmed in, so when an event happens to me, I've got this in my head. This is so important that I actually had one made and put it on my daughter's wall, and we've been talking about it since she was 3, now she's 11. Talk about a fun, positive-minded, possibility-minded kid, is because life doesn't happen to her, life happens for her, because she knows she's in charge. She's 100% in charge of how she responds to everything. And here's the truth about responsibility. Responsibility is the price of freedom. Not only financial freedom, but time freedom, emotional freedom, personal freedom. It's the price, but man, we're paying it anyway. So this is a big one, but I want to make it kind of the first foundational one. So 100% ownership. If you take 100% ownership of the results in your life, you're going to be a long way further than most people. Oh, I like this one. Number 2 of the 4 steps. Get hungry. Get hungry. Has anybody ever heard of a Mr. Anthony Robbins? Few people. Anybody here done the fire walk? Yeah, there's some people in the fire walk. I did the fire walk. I did like Wealth Mastery and the Date with Destiny, all that type of stuff. What one thing, if you had to associate a word with Tony Robbins, what would it be? What is it? Passion. Passion. Live with passion, right? Tony is all about live with passion. Live with passion. And he ends live with passion on all of his audio programs and everything. He's all about passion. Recently, Tony wrote an article for LinkedIn, and he said, if someone asks me, Tony, what is the single most valuable secret to success in life? Now, Tony Robbins, I've spent a ton of money with this guy, went to his 5-day Date with Destiny, Wealth Mastery, all this other type of stuff. I got tons of, keeps you up till 5 a.m., tires you out. And I could have gotten his one single success in life just like easy, it's one word. And I could have saved some serious money. Why didn't he start the event with that? Look, here it is, there you go home, right? So how many would you like to know what Tony Robbins thinks is the single most valuable secret to success in life? Anybody? Anybody? The single most in life? Well, he says, how do I live? He said, someone asked me, Tony, what is the single most valuable secret to success in life? How do I live life on my terms and have choices and become the best in my field? I'd tell them that every great leader that I've ever had the privilege to work with, whether they are a politician, an athlete, musician, or a business savant, got there using one force above all others, and that's hunger. Not passion? You've been saying passion all these years, not hunger. Not passion, but hunger. And he actually goes on to explain that passion gets the momentum going, but hunger is what takes you to the finish line. And if you have fear in this business, he goes on to say, hunger will destroy your fear of failure. Hunger, you got to be hungry for it. So how many of you have heard of this phrase, ready, fire, aim? Anybody? Great. Well, so I was young and hungry, super hungry. And so I didn't do ready, fire, aim. I just did fire, 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 fire. I wasn't even ready. So I'll tell you what happened. I didn't know anything about writing copy, coming up with products, any of that type of stuff. I bought this home business from, and this was like one of the first things I bought from TJ Roletter, back when I think it was my early 20s. And I bought this resale rights program. And basically, it was a resale rights program for a product that I could sell for $100. It came with the sales letter, everything I needed to promote it. And then when somebody sent me $50, or somebody sent me $100, I got to keep $50, and then I would send the other $50 to TJ's company, and they would actually fulfill that product to my customer. It was a drop ship program. So all I had to do was get out there, move myself, and market this resale rights opportunity. And so like I said, I wasn't ready. I had no skills. I was just on fire. I was just hungry. I just wanted to make something happen. And so I just did everything. I had $0, like zero. When I started my business, I had $300. I was scared to start a business. Just a little bit back. I was scared to start a business. Like every year in January, I'd be like, I want to start a business, And then, at the end of the year, the whole year would go by. I'd never even started a business. And the next January, I'd write down my goals. I want to start a business. I was scared. And so one day I had it. And I had $300 saved up when I was living in that trailer. And I went to the bank with my $300 and I was like, I want to start a business account. And they were like, yeah, that takes 3 seconds. Here's your business account. I was like, well, what else do I have to do? Well, go to the county and there's a piece of paperwork. So I drove to the county and they were like, what do you want, little boy? And I was like, I want to start a business. And they're like, here, fill this out. And like that, it was like, an afternoon, I had my business that took me 2 years of freaking out, building this up in my head to actually start this freaking business. So I had the business, I had $300, and man, when you got cash, man, you can do a lot of stuff. And I did. I took that $300 and I put it into ads that performed at 0. So all of a sudden, I now have an empty business account, but I got a business. No skills. So I go out there and I'm just doing everything. I'm going to the library. I mean, we're talking pre-internet. You talk about trying to find information about marketing. Man, now it's easy. Then it was hard. Go to the library. I'm getting books on free advertising and free publicity and all this free stuff. And I started doing everything. I don't even know what I'm doing. I just do everything. Everything I can do. Just movement, just momentum, movement. And so one of the things that I did is I found a guy that had a directory of home business opportunities. A dinky, stinky, it was on newsprint, self-published little directory on home business opportunities. But he said, we publish it every single year, and the date was coming up when they're going to publish their next one. And they said, we'll include you free of charge. I was like, oh, free, thank goodness. So I send my little listing, my little classified ad, for my little opportunity to the self-published thing. I mean, and the whole time I'm dreaming riches. I'm living in that trailer, sending off a dinky, stinky little ad to this self-published thing that probably sold 5 copies ever. But I did it, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. So I send it off, and it gets published, and he sends me a checking copy. Oops. There we go. I'm moving too much. So I know you can't believe that. So he sends me a checking copy of it, and I look, and there it is in print. It's amazing. It's a little askew, because I think his copy pasting and gluing was a little weird, but it's a little askew, but it's in there. So now, like every day I go to the mailbox. I'm excited. I'm going to get lots of nothing. I got lots of nothing. That's pretty much what I got. And this by the way, this trailer park was dangerous. One of the times I was walking to the mailbox, I was walking and I passed by this pickup truck. A German Shepherd leaped out at me, and I was running to the mailbox. He bit me in the hand. It was, anyway. The mail order business is dangerous, so be careful. So I would go to the mailbox, and every so often there'd be one envelope. And I'd open it up, and they'd say, can you send us information on your opportunity? And so I did. I would take that little sales letter that I got from TJ, and I would put it in the envelope, and I'd mail it back, and I'd wait, and I'd wait, and I'd wait, and I'd wait, and very little happened. And every so often I'd get one order, and then you would think I had won the lottery. Like $100 came in. I get to keep 50. Yay, I can buy a Whopper. Whee! Life is grand. But what happened is, over the next couple of weeks, all of a sudden, I got 3 or 4 letters in the mailbox. And then 5, and then 10. And then at one point, I was literally getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of envelopes in my mailbox, all asking for information about this resale rights opportunity. And by that time, it was crazy. I mean, I had a Xerox box full of all of these inquiries asking for information about my opportunity. So I was actually, I was like trying to type it in, and I'd gotten a computer, a cheap computer, and an old, one of those old dot matrix printers, and I would type in the information into this little cheapy database that I'd found, and I was, printing out labels and sending them off that information, and money started to come in. Hundreds of dollars, and then thousands of dollars in that little dinky, stinky little trailer. Now, at the beginning, I was super confused. Because I promise you, that little directory never sold very many copies. And the other thing that was confusing is every single one of those letters that came in said, Brad Richdale told us to contact you about your opportunity. And I knew this guy that printed this directory, his name was not Brad Richdale. But I'm like, I like this Brad Richdale guy. He's a good guy. No clue who he was, but he's a good guy. So I was so curious where all these leads were coming from, I would write back these people and I would say, can you please tell me who this Brad Richdale guy is? And finally, somebody wrote me back and they said, oh, he's the guy on TV, he does late night infomercials. The end. No, just kidding. I'll tell you the rest. I was like, late night infomercials, so I stayed up late and I saw his infomercial. He had a Creating Wealth package on TV he was selling for $39. And one of the books in there was a directory of home business opportunities. And so I contacted the company. I got a hold of Brad Richdale's fulfillment company, and I said, can I talk to Brad Richdale? And they were like, not going to happen. And so I said, well, I would just like to, thank him. And they were like, well, here's our fax number. You can send in a fax, whatever. So I wrote him a letter. I was like, dear Mr. Richdale, my business has exploded ever since, you've been selling that product. And at the time, I was making between $5,000 and $10,000 per month now from all those leads coming in. And we're talking, I was only making $50 a product that I was keeping, $5,000 to $10,000 a month. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. So you better believe I'm going to butter up Brad Richdale, right? So I sent this fax saying, I'm making this much money. Thank you so much. As soon as I have a kid, you can have him. I don't care. I just keep sending leads my way. I'm excited about this business. And so January 1st, a couple months later, January 1st, I forget what year, I just remember it was January 1st, I was at home, everything was closed. I get a phone call from Brad Richdale. And he said, and he's got a deep voice, he's got, is this Jeff Gardner? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I got your letter, and I'm really glad that we helped you out. I was like, well, I said, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. He's like, well, we're about to film this new infomercial in Orlando, and I'd like to fly you down and have you be a testimonial on it. And I said, is that I'm going to FedEx you tickets, first-class plane tickets. I'm going to FedEx them to you, to your house, trailer. And he didn't know. And will you be willing to come down? We'll pay for everything, meals, room, everything. And I said, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So literally the next day, I have plane tickets to Orlando, Florida. And I'm flying there, and I'm in my early 20s, and I've rarely been out of Kansas. And I'm flying to Orlando to meet Brad Richdale. And so they pick me up in this, I understand you get crazy wealthy. You want to get those little sports cars, but don't pick people up at the airport, with no back seat and no trunk. I'm dragging my luggage. He's like, well, we could strap it to the top. You're going to have to strap me to the top. So they pick me up in the car. They drop me off at the hotel. They said, we'll be there early tomorrow morning, and we're going to take you to Orlando. We have rented out this huge lawyer's mansion. We're going to film, half the infomercial there and 2 testimonials there, and that's where you're going to. That's the plan. So be up at this time, ready to go. So you better believe, like 4 hours before then, I'm up, I'm ready to go, sitting on the edge of the bed, and I'm ready to go. And so they pick me up. And it's a long drive from where we were. He lived on the beach, and so it's a long drive from where we were to Orlando. And I'm in the back seat with the other person that's going to be on the testimonial, one of the testimonials. And they're just chatting, and I'm just sitting there like in awed silence. And finally, Brad Richdale says to me, he says, well, Jeff, tell us a little bit more about yourself. When exactly did you get my Creating Wealth package? And I said, oh, I didn't. Dead silence. Just driving in dead silence for about 5 minutes. And then I was like, oh, I should have said something. So I explained it. I said, no. I said, I wasn't lying. I actually made all the money that I said I made, but I did it this way. You included me. You pulled my information from this when you created this. And I just got pulled over, and I got lots of leads coming in, and I made all this money. And so he was like, oh, thank goodness. I thought you just made it up. Because they didn't check. They never asked for any information. So they said, fine. So we go there. So I had to like make sure that I worded it like, your course made me all this money. Like this part of the manual was especially helpful in making me money. I had to word it in a certain way. But it was all because of that crazy hunger. I didn't know how to get in an infomercial book. It's because I was so crazy and hungry that I did so much that I got into it. Now, once I knew that that was a possibility, guess what I did? I stayed up late. I looked for infomercials. And guess what? There was another infomercial at the same time selling how to make a lot of money with little tiny classified ads. And guess what they had? They had a book, a directory of home business opportunities. So once I get home, I contact that company, and now I know what to do. I contact them. I say, hey, I've got this great opportunity. Your people would love it. If you ever republish your package, can you please include my name and information in that directory? And they did. And the 5 to 10 went to 10 to 20 when I was still living in an old crappy trailer. Cost me $0. And by the way, the infomercial deal was weird. It ran actually for a while, and immediately after it ran, first of all, they had me sitting on this massive couch that was as big as my trailer, watching this huge TV, and I had relatives calling me up, go, when did you move into that? What are you doing to make that? Show me that, right? I actually had a weird, this is an aside, but I had a weird like hour-long conversation with the pizza guy in my front yard. He comes to deliver the pizza. I'm in a trailer and he's delivering the pizza, and he's like, you're that guy on TV. Yes, I'm on an infomercial. So we talk for an hour with my pizza in his hand, getting cold. Tell me your secrets, tell me your secrets. So it's crazy. So here's a good question. Are you really hungry? Are you hungry? And here's a good test. It's a really, really simple test to know if you're hungry or not. Do you spend more time learning and planning, A, or do you spend more time implementing and doing? Hungry people fire, 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 and hope to hit something. People that aren't hungry enough, aren't hungry yet, spend a lot of time learning and planning and making lists and then scratching those out and making new lists and that's in the wrong place and crumbling it up and making another list. So you can determine, am I really hungry? Am I implementing? Am I doing stuff all the time? Good, bad, otherwise? Am I throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks? Or am I doing a lot of learning and planning and coming up with ideas and getting more information and making sure I don't make a mistake? And because messy. Life is messy. Making money is messy. It's all a big old mess. It's never going to be perfect. We'll talk about that in a second. So what drives entrepreneurs? What drives entrepreneurs? Well, the first thought would be a big pile of cash, right? I love that picture. That's an awesome picture. But studies have shown that while entrepreneurs are money-focused and they like the things that money can bring, money for them is more of a scoreboard. In fact, Mark Cuban said money is a scoreboard where you can rank how you're doing against other people. It's not the purpose. It's not the sole and only purpose. It's not the driver. It's a scoreboard. How am I doing? You know, I want to reach this goal because I know it's going to get me here, so I'm going to set this monetary goal, but that's not what's driving me. I've got this inner hunger. So it's not necessarily money and riches, because I know a lot of people that started out saying, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to make $10 million, and that was it. No passion, no desire, no drive, nothing else. They just wanted the money. And when they got to the money, you know what they said? Is that all there is? It was very empty because there was no purpose, no passion, nothing behind it. And the only thing they could do was want more and more and more. And believe me, the money chase, the empty money chase, boring, sucks. So what does drive entrepreneurs? Lots of things. Excitement of competition, competing with other people. Desire for adventure and growth. Joy and fulfillment of creation. This is big to me. I really feel as entrepreneurs, what we really are, one of our main primary jobs, we're creators. We create. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. We create opportunities, we create products, we create leads, we create businesses. We are creators. And so the joy and fulfillment of creation is a driver for a lot of people. They get to create a business from scratch that helps and serves millions of people, that generates jobs, that gives them the ability to solve problems and think past issues and obstacles. Another one is love of serving others. You know, people love to help others. I know that every time I write out my goals and the things that I want to accomplish, one of them is serving others and helping others. And by the way, we'll talk about education here, but, you know, I talk to some people that want to say, I'm very selfless. All I want to do is help others. I don't want to do anything for me. I just want to help others. And I always say, you know, if you want to help people, you count as a people. Like, you are a people, and you are the primary people. Start with you first. The more value you give yourself, the more you give yourself, the more you have to give away. So don't say, I'm just going to be so selfless, I'm not going to do anything for me, I'm just going to give it all away. If you think if you think getting is selfish, well, what about all those poor people that you're giving to? You think they're selfish for getting what you're giving? No, we should all give and get. So serve others, but serve yourself by serving others. A desire to achieve meaning in life. I'm not one of these people that believe that, you know, we're stamped on our butt what our purpose is, and if we could just see it, if I could find it, I'd see what my purpose is. You know, oh, these people have their purpose, these people have their purpose. Make up your purpose. Make it up. Go out, try some things, find some things, do some things, figure out what it is. If it's in business, awesome. If it's not in business and it's somewhere else and your business can fund it, awesome. That can drive your business. So you can create your own meaning in life. You are a creator, create that meaning. Don't go searching for it, because then you're going to, you know, what is mine? What was I born with? You know, you were born with the potential to find it. Go find it. Achievement of personal dreams. Maybe you have some really big personal dreams. Not money, but maybe the mansion, maybe the cars, maybe the trips, maybe being able to send your kids to college, whatever it is. That can drive entrepreneurs to build a big business. And then finally, freedom and control over their future. These are all things that ignite people's hunger for business. This is what drives entrepreneurs. So, if you're not there, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 4, 5, or 6. How can we ignite that hunger? Because you'll know it. Like, you will be on fire. Like, the people that I've met that are on fire, they're just like, wow. Just, you get in front of them and wow, they want to tell you everything. You know, they're just so excited and they're doing all this stuff. And I did this and it worked out horribly and these people don't like me anymore, but I'm out there, right? So how do you ignite your hunger? Well, ask yourself, what will your success and wealth give you? What is it going to give you greater than cash and houses and cars and all that type of stuff? There's a lot of things that it can give you. It can give you freedom. I really think one of the key things, one of the things why I do this business and why I stay in this business is just freedom. And to me, freedom, you know, is the ability to do whatever I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. You know, I don't have somebody telling me, you can't, you can't, you can't. Oh, guess what? I can. I'm going to. Goodbye. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's meaning and purpose, excitement, contribution. It can be a lot of these different things. So what is it for you? I said I like questions. Here's some more questions to ignite that hunger. What will success and wealth mean to your family? What is that going to give to the people that you love most of all? Sometimes doing stuff for ourselves, doesn't really get us that excited, but doing something for a spouse, doing something for our children, knowing that's going to impact not only them, but generations. What can we do for them if we take action, if we build a business, if we're successful? Who will you become in the process? Here's kind of an aha moment I had. I realized early on that who I was back then got me the results that I had back then. I could not be the back then Jeff and get what I wanted in the future. I was going to have to become somebody else. I could not hold on to the personality that I had in my 20s with the education that I had and the beliefs that I had and the actions that I had. I was going to have to become somebody different. I was going to have to educate myself, have better thoughts and better beliefs. So who will you become in the process? And it can be scary, but it can also be very exciting. And what dreams can you fulfill for yourself and others? Again, sometimes it's exciting to fulfill your own dreams, and sometimes it's exciting to fulfill the dreams of other people. Now, sometimes aspirations don't fuel that hunger. Sometimes, this attachment to want, if we get into Buddhism, but sometimes we're like, I don't really want a whole bunch of stuff, I don't really want much. So aspirational goals may not be for you. Another way that entrepreneurs fuel their hunger is to find an enemy, to find their fight. They're fighting against something. They're on a crusade. So here's some common fights that entrepreneurs fight. The fight to free people from financial shackles. I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm on a march to freedom. I am freeing people from a job. I'm freeing them from not having enough. That's a common entrepreneurial fight. Fighting against negative messages and the media, fighting to help others live amazing lives beyond money. Matt does a great job of this because this is part about making money and it's part about getting out of our comfort zones and living really amazing lives at these resort destinations, doing things we might not otherwise do on our own. A fight to educate kids about entrepreneurship and a fight for financial education for the masses, which we desperately need. So what is it going to be for you? If you're not there at a level 10, 12, 13, 100,000, what is that going to be for you to find your hunger if you don't already have it? Oh, this is, I like this stuff. You don't have to draw a picture of an elephant for your notes. So here we have a rider and an elephant. The rider is your rational goals. It's your SMART goals, specific, measured, all that type of stuff. I want to make this amount of money in this amount of time, right? It's our rational goals. I want to get up in the morning and I'm going to jog 3 feet, whatever the goal is. And so that's our rational self. This is what I want, right? And notice that rider's little teeny tiny, right? The elephant, that's our emotional selves. That's our why. Now, the elephant is the one in the picture when at night you're like, I am going for a run. I'm going to get up and I'm going to get out there. I've set my alarm for 5 o'clock and I am getting out on the road and I am going to run. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to be Super Jeff. That's the rider at night, right? In the morning, it's 5 a.m. It's way too early to get up. The bed is warm. It's dark outside. There's probably wolves. I don't know if I can get out of bed. Oh, it's so comfortable. Turn this off, right? Because there's no emotion. That elephant is saying, no, it's taking the rider wherever it wants to go. It's taking the rider. The rider can't, the elephant, your emotions, way more powerful than you just going, oh, yeah, I want this. Yeah, those are wishes. Wishes, wee, right? So what you got to do is you got to engage that elephant. You got to have that emotion. You got to have that hunger. So that elephant is focused on that goal. That rider might go, I don't want to be running. That elephant's going, we are running. Get out there. We are going to run. And if you got it, man, that elephant can take you all the way to your goal. Yes. I'm sorry. I do really bad with timing. And so she told me I have an hour. So I was like, yes. Okay. So, hold it. Is that I have an hour or I've been in it? I have 1 hour. It's been an hour. Have an hour. Okay. So we're 2 steps down, right? 2 steps down. So, but if you get this, I promise you, remember, Tony Robbins said this is the #1 secret. If you get this, if you ignite your hunger, if you have that drive, all the skills, the can't get traffic, the don't know the lingo, the don't know the tech stuff, all of that stuff flies out the window. I promise you, because this is going to make you unstoppable. That elephant's going to crush your fear under its big old elephant feet. And this is the final word I'll say on this because it is so important. If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Just put the dot on that exclamation point, right? You got to want it that bad. Bad, bad. We get it. It's true, though. Everybody I know, I do a lot of high-performance coaching on entrepreneurs, and what I see is sometimes they get lost. So at the beginning, they are fired up. They know nothing, they're fired up, they achieve high levels of success, and something happens. They get distracted by the money, they get distracted by this, and that fire goes out. And they're like, I don't understand. I knew absolutely nothing, and yet I was a hyper success. Now I have all the skills in the world, and I'm failing miserably. So what we go back in and do is we say, don't worry about the skills. Go in and ignite that fire, and boom, they're back in business. So get hungry. That's #2. 3, champion mindset. Now you will notice I have not said anything about skills yet. Not one thing about skills. Now, they're important. They're actually going to come up here in a second. But all of this stuff is foundational. If you get it right, you can screw up a lot of other stuff. So success is 90% mindset and 10% skill set. There's a lot of very well-educated failures in the world because they have the wrong mindset. There's a lot of divorced marriage counselors. There's a lot of obese doctors. There's a lot of crazy therapists. We're highly educated, but they don't have the mindset to actually succeed in those fields in themselves. Oh, we're just about to roll around in what I like here. So, I got to gear up. So this is ultimately what we want in life, right? We want results. We want good stuff, right? Don't we want a quality life? Before we're pushing up the daisies and shuffling up the mortal coil, don't we want to have really amazing results in our life? So, let's do some forensics here and see where these results come from. So to get results in your life, if we're taking 100% ownership, we get results from our actions. So we take an action and we get a result. We take an action, we get a result. We live our lives, we get results back, right? So where do these actions come from? What motivates us to take these actions? It's my spouse. She tells me to take the trash out, I do it. No, that doesn't count. It's not those outside forces because you could internally say, no, I'm not taking out the trash. So you have that ability. No, what actually moves us ahead in terms of our actions are how we feel. So if I get up in the morning and I'm depressed and I'm sad and I'm lonely and I have all these negative emotions, I'm not going to run off to business and I'm going to be like, I'm super successful, let me take these actions and build this business. I'm going to mope around, I'm going to be sad, in my head, I'm going to be I'm so stupid. Why did I ever get into this? I'm a big dummy. I'm horrible, right? Now, if we have positive feelings. We're like, I'm amazing, I can do anything, ta-da! And then we're going to go out and we're going to take some positive actions. So feelings really fuel our actions. So where do our feelings come from? Where do our feelings come from? Our feelings come from our thoughts. Now sometimes it's subconscious and sometimes we hear them, but our feelings are generated by our thoughts. So when you're unmotivated, or when you're sad, or when you're depressed, you're thinking something, and maybe even subconsciously, but you're thinking something negative about yourself. Alternatively, when you think that you're all that, you're thinking something good about yourself. Because what happens, and here's something really cool when you get this. Let's say you've got positive thoughts. You think you are amazing. You've got life down pat. You know what you're doing. You're going to go out there and you're going to take over the world. So then you're going to have positive feelings. You're going to be hyper motivated. You're going to be hungry, right? Then you're going to take positive actions. And from those positive actions, you're going to get positive results. Now, alternatively, if that wonderful little voice in your head, that wonderful little monologue that keeps going, that self-doubting, self-loathing monologue in your head says, oh yeah, you big dummy, oh, you big jerk, you can never do anything right. Well, then you get negative thoughts, and those fuel negative feelings. And when you're depressed, you're angry, you're unhappy, you're sad, you're going to take little or no action. When you take little or no action, you get negative results. Now, why is this incredibly important? Well, because I want positive results. It's because of this little piece. It's not a straight line. This part of your life is a feedback loop. So what happens is, I have bad thoughts about myself. I'm not there yet. I'm just a newbie. I don't know any technical stuff. I don't have as much experience as Matt. I don't have this. I don't have that. I'm beneath. I'm below. I'm all this type of stuff, right? And by the way, one of the things, I have this up on my wall, but one of the quotes that I like the most is, the problem we have with our self-esteem is that we're comparing our behind the scenes with other people's highlight reels. We're comparing our insides with other people's outsides. So we see the best face that all these rich people put on, and we don't know what's going on in their head or in their home. And so I see a lot of the thoughts that when I deal with entrepreneurs, I see a lot of these thoughts, they're comparing themselves to others, and they're beating themselves up. When they beat themselves up, they feel less than. They feel less than. They feel sad. They feel depressed. They feel like they can't do it. So they take little or no actions, and they get really bad results. What do you think about yourself when you get bad results? That confirms it. I do suck. I'm horrible. Then you have worse feelings. You take no action, you get worse results. It's a feedback loop. It feeds on itself. Alternatively, if you think you're all that, and you get out there and you have some motivated feelings, and you take some actions, you're going to get some decent results. And in some cases, if you're delusional and you get no results, you go, but I'm all that. So this isn't failure, this is just a learning experience. So then that feeds the thoughts, it feeds the feelings, and rich get richer, poor get poorer. It's a cycle. So you have to step in at some point and take 100% responsibility for what fuels this feedback loop, and that is your thoughts. So let's talk about thoughts. Let's talk about ways to create that champion mindset. Number one, the negativity fast. Now, I know you've heard this before. This is not a big aha moment. I was at an event one time. I was at a success event with a friend. I was sitting here, he was sitting there, somebody on the stage, they were talking about goal setting, and I leaned over to him and I said, goal setting? I heard this 1,000 times. I heard this from Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and T. Harv Eker and everybody. And he turns to me and he said, well, then when are you going to use it? Point taken, I guess. So you've probably heard this a bajillion times, but it's true. Oh, and by the way, in my Facebook feed, I just saw that the Pope, I'm not Catholic, but and I'm not following the Pope, it was a news item. I saw that the Pope actually has a top 10 list. He might be becoming David Letterman, I don't know. He has a top 10 list of how to have a happy life. And one of his top 10s that I saw today was turn off the negativity. So this slide is officially sanctioned by the Pope. That's the weight I want you to feel it with. So take a negativity fast. Turn off the news. Don't feed your brain any more of this stuff. Turn off the negative TV shows. Turn off the negative friends. Hide the negative Facebook info. Notice, change, complaining. Do all of these things. I have, on my Facebook list, I have lots of friends. Lots of friends who are so negative. Lots of friends who are victims. Oh, this happened and my life sucks. This happened and my life is great. And you know what? I don't defriend them. You don't have to defriend your friends. There is a special little button that says unfollow. You can keep them, but keep them quiet. Hide them in the background. Don't have their garbage in that post. And that goes for moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, anybody. This is your life. Take 100% ownership of your life. They say, why don't you ever like my stuff? Because I don't like your stuff. So turn off all of this garbage and junk. Then you want to replace it with positive stuff. You want to start just pumping that positive messages into your head. And I'm not talking about Pollyanna stuff. Yeah, you know, here's the crazy thing. I have a deeper belief that things are neutral. Things are kind of neutral. And so people sometimes want to say, well, you know, this is just all Pollyanna, it's all positive stuff. And I say, well, yeah, but I believe everything's kind of neutral and we can attach negative or positive to pretty much anything, you know. And so I have a choice. Do I want to attach negative to it or do I want to attach positive to it? And why would I ever want to attach negative to something that I could turn into a positive? So because it's my choice, why should I ever assume that anything is negative? Why can't I just assume everything is positive? My choice. So read positive books, listen to positive audio programs, connect with uplifting people, post positive messages for yourself. I'm kind of psychotic about this. The last part. Well, all of it, actually. I'm actually just psychotic about all of it. Everything. So what I do is when I'm listening to an audio program or I'm reading a book or something like that, and I find a positive message, like a quote or some information that is life-changing to me, I will post it on my wall. I'll have it printed in huge letters on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I will post it on my wall. This is actually one of the 4 walls in my office around my whiteboard. And my room is, if you walked into that room, you would think I was a nut job. You might already think that, I don't know. But all my walls are covered with these positive messages. So every time I walk into my office, it's all positive. It's all life-changing information for me. And I've had people walk in and say, what in the hell? Have you ever seen that movie, A Beautiful Mind? I think you've got an issue here. And I say, you know, I'm not doing this to make you happy. I'm doing this to make me happy. I'm doing this, you know, you can judge me, that's awesome, but I kind of like my life. I'm doing this for me. I'm taking 100% ownership of my office. So I recommend doing something like this. You know, put positive messages, maybe not on your wall, maybe on a mirror, maybe in your car. Feed yourself positive information all the time. And then wake up and challenge your negative thoughts. Don't go on autopilot. You know, when I first started getting into self-help pretty seriously, way back in the day, I used to think that the thought in my head was me, so I could trust it, right? So I thought, you know, I do something, and then the voice in my head says, oh, that was really stupid. You are a moron. And I thought, that's supposed to be motivating. Thank you, voice in my head. That's awesome. And every time I would do it, it would say, you're horrible. You're terrible. This sucks. Go to hell. And I was like, geez, okay. Thank you so much, voice in my head. And then I read some more books, and then there was a great book called Taming Your Gremlin. And it told me that the voice in my head wasn't me, it was a gremlin. And I needed to fight that gremlin. I was like, yes, this mean, evil person in my head isn't me. We're two separate people. I mean, talk about schizophrenic thinking. So now I was fighting it. I was fighting the voice in my head. You're stupid. No, I'm not. You're stupid. No, I'm not. And the interesting thing about what we run from must chase us. I discovered that. What we run from must chase us. So I was, so focused on running away from these negative thoughts and changing these negative thoughts and, getting away from them because they were, a part of me, that I focused on them even more. And then finally, I read some information that said, look, the voices in your head, it's just information. It's just information. It's information from previous programming, from parents, from school. It's just a download of information. And where we suffer, the problem is when we attach to it. When we say, this is me, and we attach to it. Instead of actually attaching to it, what if we were to question it? What if we were to say, this thought said, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or I should be more successful. I'm such a dummy. I should be more successful. I'm a failure. What if we were to question that? What if we were to say, is that true? Should I be more successful? Is that absolutely true? Should I absolutely be more successful? Aren't I probably the exact amount of successful that I should be based on the actions that I've taken? Aren't I working on getting better and growing? And when I get better results, the more action I take? Oh, yeah. And so with a little self-compassion, you can actually get over the berating negative thoughts, because the only thing that these negative thoughts do, they don't motivate you. They just make you feel like crap. And then you get negative thoughts and negative feelings and negative actions and negative results. But if you wake up to this idea that you have 100% ownership of questioning, not running from them, just question those thoughts. Are they real? Is this reality? Is this reality for everybody in every case? Is there a law that says that I should be more successful than I am right now? Did they pass that law and I missed it? No. Because what happens is a domino effect. If you don't like your results in your life, if you don't like the actions you're taking, if you don't like your feelings, don't try to solve those. Focus on getting positive thoughts. Focus attention on your positive thoughts, because what happens then becomes a domino effect, because those positive thoughts create the positive feelings, the positive actions, and the positive results. I'm so passionate about this. One of the things that T.J. Roletter and I, over the years, I've been in contact with him. I've spoken at lots of his events, so now we're best friends. One of the things we're doing, we're starting up a new business called Miracle Mind Institute. And it's all about a process that we've created that helps people go and change their thoughts so they can stop suffering. And some of the techniques that we work on helps people through addictions and depression and a lot of the negative things that are happening in their lives. And we just start at the thought basis, not at the feelings, at the thought basis. Oh, and by the way, there is a part of this that I didn't put there. You can actually go back, and I did mention it briefly. You can actually go back to thoughts, and you can go to programming. So where do a lot of your thoughts come from? Previous programming, parents, church, news, all that type of stuff. I don't put it up here because to me that doesn't mean 100% ownership. Because I'm here now. That's in the past. 100% ownership says I don't blame my past. I start from here, and I work on my thoughts. So anyway, moving on. Champion mindset. And number 4, we're actually getting into some skills. We're getting into skill mastery. And this is important. You got to have some skills. So your best investment. I actually showed this slide to somebody else, and they were like, oh, great. Here comes the sales pitch. I know you're going to sell me something, right? Your best investment is you. Yes, well, I totally believe that. I said I have nothing to sell. By the way, I do have nothing to sell. But your best investment, I absolutely believe, and I have always believed, is yourself. Your best investment is yourself. Is investing into your skills, your mindset, everything to do with you. The more value you have in yourself, the more valuable you'll be as an entrepreneur. Because real financial security doesn't come from how much money you currently have. Because you can win the lottery and have a lot of money, but that's not financial security. A lot of people lose that. Real financial security comes from being able to get more whenever you want it. So you can have a downturn in the business. Something can happen, but if you have that knowledge, if you have those skills, you can make it back. That's why you see millionaires going bankrupt and then coming back bigger than ever. It's because they had the skills to do that. That's why you see people going from one network marketing company to another, and they're always successful. And people say, yeah, but they brought their list. Yeah, but they learned how to get that list. They have the skills. They can go and take those skills to anything. So the best investment you have is in you and your skills. So there's two basic type of skills that I think are really super important to learn. Number one, problem-solving skills. Because remember, before I said entrepreneurs are creators, entrepreneurs are also problem solvers. Basically, for me, the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who gets paid to solve problems, and that's it. It's my definition of an entrepreneur. We get paid to solve problems. So if you start to fall in love with problems, you're going to be a very successful entrepreneur. But there's a specific way that you can go at problem solving that's going to make you a lot more money, a lot more effective too. And then you got to have money-making skills. You got to have those skills that pay the bills, right? So first, let's talk about problem-solving skills. This is my problem-solving triad, and it's what I use to effectively solve personal problems and business problems and product problems. So the problem-solving triad, and I'll go through each one of these points. The first one is to solve the emotional problem first. Too often we have a problem pop up and we get really angry. We're like, I can't believe that happened. Did I become Irish there or Scottish? I can't believe. No, I became a pirate. Never mind, I got it. Arrgh, I can't believe that happened. So what happens is we go into a problem emotionally charged, we're angry, we're upset, and we make the problem worse. Now we got a bigger mess to clean up because we went into the problem solving angry and upset. So when a problem happens to me, I ignore the problem and I just focus on what am I feeling right now. I got to come back to center. I got to pop back up to well-being, peace, calm, so I can actually have all my faculties with me to deal with it. So what you do is you go back to the thoughts about the problem, and you cure those, you solve those, and then you move on. Step number 2 is you spend 20% of your time defining the problem. The problem may not be exactly what you think it is. Is it solvable in the first place? Should I be spending any time even solving it? If so, what is the end result that I want? What is the actual problem? Is it what I think it is? And the funny thing is, in many cases, once I solve the emotional part of it, what I really thought the problem is isn't really what it is. And it usually isn't as bad as I thought it was. And in some cases, it's actually very easily solvable. And then number 3, spend 80% of your time solving the problem. I know a lot of people spend 80% of their time complaining about the problem. I can't believe this happened. This is horrible. This sucks. My life sucks. Well, no, spend 20% defining and 80% of your time actually solving the problem. So I'll give you some problem-solving questions that I often use. What are the opportunities in this problem? Remember, entrepreneurs are problem solvers, so what we want to do is not just solve the problem, we want to look for the deeper opportunity within that problem. How is this going to move me ahead? There's a great quote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." So instead of looking at this as a wall, I look at it as a jumping off point. I'm going to find something really cool here. What is it? Let me brainstorm. Let me think. What's the opportunity that I might miss here if I just want to solve this problem? How does this problem serve me? A great belief to have is that the universe is kind and life is happening for me, not to me. I got a problem, how does it serve me? What is it waking me up to? How does it help me? It might not be apparent at the beginning, but in most problems there's a deeper lesson, there's something to learn, there's some way to grow. So how does the problem serve me? What can I do to solve this problem? What action can you take? What thing can you do to get past this problem? Maybe you don't know. That's great. What can I read or learn to solve this problem? You know, when I was first starting out in my business, you basically got information from the library. That was it. There were no blogs, there were no forums, there was no one to help you out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Just tumbleweeds tumbling through. So exciting. Who can I ask for help to find a solution? There's so many more people to ask nowadays. There's forums, there's coaches, there's all sorts of people that have experience to help you solve whatever problem that is. They can help you see the opportunities that you might have missed. Who else has solved this and how? Somebody else has probably had the same problem or a similar problem to what you have. So who else has solved this problem? And then finally, what 100 solutions can I brainstorm? 100 solutions. What 100 solutions can I brainstorm? The first 10 or 20 are super easy. The next 80 are super difficult. There was a time in my business, in one of my businesses, I had an internet advertising business. It was doing really well. One day, our merchant account got shut off. And I called the merchant account company and I said, "What's wrong?" And they said, "Oh, there's a big problem, Mr. Gardner." And I said, "What is it?" And they said, "You're running too much money through your merchant account." I said, "That's not a problem. Too much money." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, we have you capped at a limit of $100,000 a month, and we let that slide. You're now at $200,000 a month. And we got to shut you down because our fraud department and compliance, they say that, you know, we're going out on a limb here for you. We gotta stop it." Unfortunately, it was only a few. I said, "When can you open it back up?" They said, "Well, the beginning of the next month, and we'll run through the paperwork so you can extend that." Not long after that, I was selling one type of internet advertising in conjunction with the major search engines. 1 month after that, all of the major search engines, within about a week's time, together, stopped offering that advertising completely. I had shut down every part of my mail order business. I shut down every information product, every other ad. I was making so much money with just this one type of advertising. I shut down everything else, and in 1 week, $200,000 a month went away. That was exciting. It got my heart pumping a little bit. Now, the good thing about that is at the exact same time I was going through a divorce. Good things all happen at the same time, don't they? So what was interesting is I had overhead in my business. I had about $25,000 every single month in overhead. $25,000, $25,000, $25,000, $25,000 a month in overhead, month after month after month, which is fine if you're doing $200,000 a month. But when that goes from $200,000 to zero, and all the money you've put away in investments that have your and your soon-to-be ex-wife's name on it is frozen by the court, and you can't take that money out to put in the business to cover overhead while you're turning your business around, all of a sudden, it's crisis time, right? It's a super crisis. So I went through this process, and I was like, there's no opportunities in this problem. This problem doesn't serve me. This is horrible. Actually, I didn't know most of these questions, but I did know this last one. What 100 solutions can I brainstorm? And that's what I did. I just sat down at the computer and I started typing. What can I do? What can I sell? I knew that I could turn the business around in about 30 days or so. I needed $25,000 from somebody. I just needed to cover 30 days worth of overhead, and the business could be turned around, and I'd be in a different business selling more stuff. Great. How do I get $25,000? That's what I needed. I defined my problem. I need $25,000. How do I get it? You know, friends, family, da-da-da-da. All this stuff. I did the easy stuff, but I pushed myself to 100 different ways. Out of those 100 different ways, way down on the list, I had a friend that had sold a domain name for $500,000. And I thought, well, I've got 1,000 domain names, because I'm a domain name hoarder. I don't know why. So I have 1,000 domain names. Maybe, one of those domain names will be worth something. Maybe it'll be worth $500, $1,000, and that will at least, you know, I'll do a whole bunch of things at the same time. I can scoop together $25,000 and save the business. So that's one of the things that I did. I brainstormed 100 solutions. I did a whole bunch of them, and one of the things that I did was to take just one domain name that I thought was decent, and I put it up on eBay, and I just let it sit there while I was doing my other stuff. So clock's ticking down. I need the money. My money's running down. And all of a sudden, I get a call from somebody, and they say, yeah, I saw your listing on eBay about this domain name. And I said, yeah, you know, I'm selling it. And they said, have you checked it out yet? And I said, no. And so I checked it out, and it was about $16,000. And so talking to the guy more, he had actually sold his company in California. He'd sold a startup. He had all this cash, and he had an idea for a new business, and he had just stumbled onto that eBay listing, and he was like, look, I don't know how far this is going to get up. I don't want to be in a bidding war against crazy people on eBay. I just take it off eBay, and I will wire you the money. How much do you want? Now, I could have gouged him, but I really just wanted that security of knowing I had 20. I said, you know, it's getting up there. It's close to, you know, 20, but it could go to 25. How about 25? He said, sold. He said, I'll wire you the money immediately. I'll wire you $25,000 to your bank account and then transfer the domain name to me. And that's what saved my business. So I don't believe anything is unsolvable. We just have to take the time, effort, and energy to brainstorm every solution possible. We got to take 100% responsibility for our problems and really focus on figuring out the solution. And if you're committed, and if you're hungry, I think you can do it. Now let's talk about money-making skills. Because this is where you're going to make the money after you're hungry and your mindset's right and you're taking 100% responsibility. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm excited that I'm kind of on time. So money-making skills. Money-making skills, money-making skills, money-making skills, money-making skills, money-making skills. What can I say about money-making skills? I think sometimes this is one of the biggest hurdles to being successful, because to learn new things, sometimes you have to take a little knock to your self-esteem. And when I was a kid, I didn't care. I knew I didn't know anything. Everybody knew I didn't know anything. So I was more than happy to get out there and learn new stuff and try new things. And I didn't feel like I was failing. I just felt like I was doing new things. And then, I talked to some people who, they're getting into something new, and they think, I don't think I can learn this. I'm really worried what people will think about me, and all that. And they really build it up in their heads. And so, going from the mail order business to the internet business, I started my first website in '98. And so I remember back then, I was not excited about using Front Page 98 to build a website. I was not excited. HTML what? I don't, no. So I was not excited about learning these new money-making skills. And on the internet, man, there's new skills all the time to be learned, right? There's pay-per-click, pay-per-view, CPA, now there's Facebook. And the great thing about these type of advertising is, oh man, the rules stay the same all the time, right? No, Facebook's always changing the rules. I mean, Google pay-per-click, they're changing their rules all the time. Now it's really hard to do any home business stuff through them. So the rules are constantly changing and the money-making skills are changing. So what I like to do is, if I find that something is difficult and I have some resistance to it, I like to make it fun. I think business should be fun. And I think that building up your skills should also be fun. So what I play is what I call the 90-day skill game. Anytime I want to learn a new skill, especially if I have a little bit of resistance to it, I set up a 90-day skill game for myself. And here's the 90-day skill game rules. I pick one skill to master in 90 days. Now, the great thing about what Matt has with Mobe is that you have the ability to really focus on one skill. You know, when I was starting out with my mail order business, that was really the benefit that I had too. Somebody else had taken care of creating the product and the sales letter and doing the fulfillment and the customer support, and my only focus was marketing. That was it. My only focus was marketing. So I could get really good at that because I didn't have to try to do everything at the same time. That's the opportunity you have here. You get the massive support of Mobe, and all you have to do is figure out the skills of marketing. So pick that one skill to master in 90 days. What is it? What I like to do is I don't go out and try to learn every skill. I like to see who's successful in what I'm doing and what skill are they using. I mean, you got the great Traffic Masters Academy. Pick one of those skills. Is it Facebook advertising? Is it solo ads? What type of marketing do you want to do? Just pick one. Focus. Focus. Confusion is the enemy of action. If you try to do too much, if you confuse yourself, you won't take action. So focus on just one. Then create a game board with 90 spots. Get a piece of construction paper. Get a piece of poster board. Have fun with it. Create a game board with 90 spots in it so that you can tack it up. Make it as big and as colorful as you want and tack it up in your office. Tack it up in your home office, wherever you're going to see it every single day because you're going to be filling it in every single day. Then you can follow the 3-2-1 plan. This isn't set in stone, but it's what I like to do. I find 3 books by experts, not learned experts, but people who are actually having success doing what I'm doing. Then I get 2 courses. They may be audio courses, group coaching courses. And then I like to attend during that 90 days at least one event, one live event. Then just spend 1 hour a day learning that skill. Every single day, 1 hour a day, 7 days a week. Go through the 3 books, the courses, the event. Go through that every single day. And every single day that you do it, you're going to mark off 1 spot on your game board. And then implement all implementables immediately. I do not think implementables is a word, but it made sense to me when I made this slide. Implement all implementables. So what some people tend to do, we're planning, we're working, we don't want to make any mistakes. When something comes up and it shows you, here's how to set up a Facebook account, stop, don't keep going, stop and implement. When it says do this, implement, and then continue learning, then implement. Implement along the way instead of think you're going to learn everything and I'm going to come back to implementing. Implement along the way. Set up rewards. What's your reward in your first week, your first month, and at the end of your 90 days? Reward yourself. Some people are motivated by rewards. Reward yourself if you are. If you're not motivated by the carrot, you're motivated by the stick, give yourself a punishment. What's going to happen to you? What bad, horrible thing could happen to you if you don't do this every single day? And another thing to do is to have an accountability partner to do this with. Because remember that rider on that elephant? That rider on that elephant also likes to rationalize. Oh, I got the twins' birthday party, so I'm going to do 2 hours tomorrow. No, you're not. That's not happening. So what you should do is find a partner to do with that can call you on your stuff and say, you need to get your hour in. Oh, but it's 11 o'clock at night. Great, get your hour in and go to bed at midnight. Awesome. So this is a great way to pick up skills. You can have 4 killer skills that you can master in a year, and you will be ahead of tons of people. This is also a strategy. This is along the same lines. It's called the Seinfeld strategy. And I stumbled on this, and I've used it multiple times for different things that I want to learn or I want to implement in my life, especially new habits. It's called the Seinfeld strategy. There was a brand new comedian who was just getting his start, and he was at a comedy club with Jerry Seinfeld. And he said, man, you are so successful. And by the way, right now, Jerry Seinfeld is worth $800 million. So I'd say he's a pretty successful comedian. So the comedian went up to him, Brad Isaac, and he said, what's your secret to success? How are you such a great comedian? How do you write all these great jokes? And here's what he said. He said the way to be a better comic was to create better jokes And the way to create better jokes was to write every day. He told me to get a big wall calendar that has a whole year on one page and hang it on a prominent wall. The next step was to get a big red magic marker. He said, for each day that I do my task of writing, I get to put a big red X over that day. After a few days, you'll have a chain. Just keep at it, and the chain will grow longer every day. You'll like seeing that chain, especially when you get a few weeks under your belt. Your only job is to not break the chain. He didn't say, you got to study comedy. He didn't say you have to study joke writing. He didn't say you have to write better jokes. He said you just have to write every day. That's how you get better. That's how you get phenomenal in this business. You do it every day, every single day. Now you can do it just like he said. You can get a calendar and every day you do that thing, whatever that thing is. The new habit, the running, the jogging, the focusing on the business, the positive stuff in your head, whatever it is, you can use the calendar. But so many people use this method. There's actually smartphone apps you can use too that do the exact same thing. It will remind you of what you want to remember to do. You can check it off and it will create a chain within that app. So some of the most highly reviewed ones are Habit List, Daily Goals, and Habit Streaks. But if you're taking 100% ownership, this will give you the opportunity to be accountable to yourself and to create those success habits and to master those skills so that you can take your hunger, you can take your mindset, you can match it with these new habits and new skills, and you can be absolutely freaking unstoppable. Serious. Now, I know a lot of people have fears. They have a fear of failure, a fear of rejection, a fear of humiliation, a fear of all this stuff, right? And they're like, I'm not moving ahead because I got all this fear. Well, you can actually crush fear through skill mastery. Because if you're afraid of failing, if you're afraid of making mistakes, what's the opposite of fear? Opposite of fear is really confidence. Like, I'm confident in this business. I'm confident I can place these Facebook ads. I'm confident I can make money. I'm confident I can close somebody on the phone. I'm confident in what I'm doing. I'm confident in my skills. So how do you go from fear to confidence? Confidence comes from competence. If you feel like you don't know enough right now to be successful in your business, you're doing the right thing. You are, because you might not be at the competence level that you need. It doesn't happen by magic, it happens by study. So you can get rid of your fear once you become competent. So if you're like, I'm really afraid of Facebook, that's awesome. That's a good sign. You need to become competent in Facebook. And when that happens, guess what? Fear goes away. That's why the 90-day skill game works so well. So number 4, skill mastery. So I'm going to do a really quick review of the 4 things we went over. Number 1, 100% ownership. You got to take ownership of your results, your life, your experience, everything that's happening to you. Number 2, you got to get hungry. This is the fuel. Mob is the vehicle. Your hunger is the fuel. If you're getting results, but you want to take it to the next level, look at your hunger. Where are you at in terms of your own hunger? Champion mindset. One of the things we're afflicted with is just beating ourselves up and self-doubt and self-loathing. One of the gifts that I really hope over the last years of my life, not that I'm going anywhere now, but last years of my life is just to really help people stop suffering. They say pain is inevitable, but suffering is not. Suffering comes from up here, so it'd be nice to be able to help more people get rid of that. And then number 4, skill mastery. And those tied together, those will make you unstoppable in your business. Now finally, the one last thing I want to leave you with is it's a practice. It's not perfection. I still screw all this stuff up all the time, and I'm thrilled to pieces because it gives me the opportunity to continue the practice. Zig Ziglar says, people complain that motivation doesn't last. He says, well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it every day, right? That's what this is. Everything I gave you, it's a practice. It's not a one and done, push button deal. Every day it's a practice to be positive, to be hungry, to have the right mindset, to grow your skills. It's a constant practice, not perfection. And as a recovering perfectionist, difficult for me to get, but I'm getting it. But with some compassion for yourself and some constant practice, you will get better, you will grow, you're going to become unstoppable. And last thing I'll leave you with is this. From Jim Rohn, one of my favorites. He said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges, wish for more wisdom." And the one thing I would like to add to that is, don't wish. Take 100% ownership and get out there and do it. Get out there and do it, because whether you do it or not is 100% on your back. Because here's the reality. Here's your comfort zone. That's where the magic happens. So if you can move outside of it, and if you use what I've given you to become an unstoppable entrepreneur and move outside of your comfort zone, man, oh man, there's a lot of magic that happens out there. Well, that's my time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.